Hello, welcome to the morning edition of MBC News, and you are with me, Evelis Chingambe. Coming up this morning, government set to conduct civil service personnel forensic audit exercise scheduled from next week, Tuesday, to February next year. Leader of the House in Parliament assures Malawians of government's commitment to fulfilling its promises. And in sports, Malawi chess youth team will participate in the 2025 Africa Youth Chess Championship, which will kick off tomorrow in Zimbabwe. Thank you for joining us. Now the news in detail. Government is set for the civil service personnel audit exercise scheduled from next week Tuesday to 6th February next year. Chief Secretary in the Office of the President and Cabinet, Justin Saidi, and Minister of Information, Shadrack Namalomba, disclosed this in Lilongwe during a briefing on the exercise. According to the senior government officials, the country's wage bill has been increasing unsustainably and is affecting allocation of resources and implementation of various development projects in the country. Beatrice Mape reports.
Speaking during the briefing, Chief Secretary in the Office of the President and Cabinet, Justin Saidi, said the country's wage bill has risen from 479 billion kwacha between 2021 and 2022 to 1.6 trillion kwacha between 2025 to 2026, symbolizing a 234% increase in 4 fiscal cycles. Saidi has further added that for every 100 kwacha a Malawian is taxed, 38 kwacha is channeled to salaries, describing it as an attainable trajectory. He says this has affected availability of resources for infrastructure, healthcare, education, and other enablers that fuel the development of the country. He says the nationwide personnel audit therefore will address systematic weaknesses, procedural incompetence, and eliminate ghost workers, payroll fraud, and duplication, among other problems.
The primary objective of this audit is to reconcile the authorized establishments recorded in the Human Resource Management Information System, HRMIS, and the national payroll with the verifiable presence of every individual in public service. This is the foundational step towards eliminating ghost workers, payroll irregularities, and systematic inefficiency. To ensure a thorough and orderly process with minimal disruptions, the essential public services, the audit will be conducted in phases.
On his part, Minister of Information Shadrack Namalomba says the current administration is prioritizing transparency, accountability, and prudent management of public resources, and the exercise is critical to ensure it builds public trust.
Ghost workers, by definition, they don't exist. Physically, they don't exist, but they exist on the payroll. So what happens is somebody slot in a name, and that name gets money. That person does not go to work, but he gets every month. So the intention is to steal. So the person who does that gets the money, or it is shared. It may be a syndicate or something else. So that money is shared. So it is like fraud. Let me say it is a fraud. So if you have also committed fraud in that manner, the laws of the land are very clear. You have committed a crime, and surely you must face the music.
According to the minister, currently the nation's wage bill take up 25% of the recurrent expenditure. The exercise will be done with funding from World Bank and European Commission. Beatrice Mwape, MBC News, Lilongwe.
Minister of Education Bright Msaka SA has applauded education development partners for their contribution towards Malawi's education sector. Speaking in Lilongwe during a meeting aimed at strengthening collaboration, Msaka said government alone cannot meet the country's expanding education demands, especially with the rollout of free secondary education.
I decided that not too long in my term at this ministry, I should meet them. Firstly, to appreciate their contribution to the education sector and the support they give us. They have been abiding supporters for many, many years. To be frank, it would be very difficult to implement the education sector without their support. So it was important that I meet them and appreciate their support. Equally important, it was my responsibility to request them to continue and increase the support. Continuation is important, increase because we are expanding the education sector, especially having regard to the free secondary education. So there is need for increased support there so that we achieve our agenda. Now, I am gratified, extremely gratified that we received assurances of support all across the cooperating partners. There is support, broad and specific, regarding their commitment to the education sector, recognizing as we do that education is a key investment in the future development of this country.
One coordinator of the Education Development Partner Group, Amy Clancy, reaffirmed the partners' commitment to working closely with the ministry to ensure meaningful progress in the sector.
The Education Development Partners in this meeting reaffirmed their strong commitment to supporting the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology under the leadership of the Minister in the advancement of the education sector as a whole. Discussed many opportunities for engagement, including what has been termed P-class, which is also considered early childhood education and development. We've discussed basic education and foundational learning, as well as secondary education and the importance of technical and vocational education and training.
Leader of the House in Parliament, Jabi Mhango, has assured Malawians that the Democratic Progressive Party DPP-led administration will fulfill the promises it made to Malawians. Mhango said President Mutharika is working tirelessly to rebuild the country's economy, which was left in disarray by the MCP-led administration. Margaret Mabando has more.
During the first sitting of the first meeting of the 52nd meeting of Parliament, members of Parliament deliberated on various matters of national interest. Among others, Parliament tabled and passed the revised 2025 to 2026 National Budget, Bill number 28 of 2025, Taxation Amendment, Bill number 29 of 2025, Value Added Tax Amendment, Private Members Bill number 2 of 2025, Constitution Amendment, and Loan Authorization Bills for various projects in the country. Parliament has adjourned sine die after 5 weeks of the 2025-2026 Media Budget Review meeting, which also marked the first meeting of the 52nd session of Parliament. In his closing remarks, Leader of the Opposition, Simplex Tichola Banda, admitted that expecting the current administration to resolve the country's economic and social challenges within just 3 months is an unrealistic expectation. Chichola expressed hope that the government will implement an economic recovery plan to help address the economic challenges the country is facing.
Malawians are looking for nothing else but, I think, the healing economically so that we start moving towards, economic prosperity. So basically, that's what I really did in my concluding remarks. I also had a chance to remind the House and the general Malawians that we have got quite a number of challenges, and then government should seriously look into those. For example, access to loans but also farm inputs, because this is already rainy season. We simply need to invest hugely into agricultural productivity if we are to harvest bumper yields next year to avoid future hunger and food insecurity.
For his part, Leader of the House, Jabi Mhango, assured the House that government will do everything possible to restore the country's economy and deliver the promises they made to Malawians.
The country's economy is actually on deathbed, and it is in serious need of resuscitation. The Minister of Finance has assured us all that the team in the Ministry, the team in Treasury, is working tirelessly to ensure that we revitalize the macroeconomic situation in this country. The President himself has been very, very steadfast in steering this ship. So just to assure Malawians that as much as we find ourselves in very, very troubled economic situation, their government, led by Professor Peter Mutharika, is working tirelessly to make sure that we get out of this situation. The debt stock is very, very scaring, very, very high, way beyond what people had anticipated. It's now hovering around 28 trillion, very scaring, too high. But as a people, as a country, and as a government, we'll do whatever it takes within our means to make sure that we get out of this very, very complex situation.
Speaker of Parliament Samir Suleiman commended the MPs for the passion and the vision displayed in their contributions. Suleiman urged them to continue bringing forward issues that reflect the real needs and prioritizes the people of Malawi.
We have elected chairpersons for all parliamentary committees. My office will ensure that funding to committees is always adequate and made timely to facilitate your oversight roles. May I appeal to all committee chairpersons to work with dedication and commitment to ensure that Parliament delivers to this nation through committees. Vibrant committees give people and the nation at large hope and confidence in their Parliament, since it is through this oversight role that we make our sons and daughters proud of us. I wish to urge all chairpersons to take a leading role in ensuring that committees deliver according to their mandates. If a chairperson does not tick, please kindly step down. Or my office will come in to dismiss you.
Meanwhile, Parliament has adjourned sine-die.
Still in Parliament, government is in the process of procuring 7 ambulances, and once procurement is completed, allocation will prioritize facilities experiencing critical transportation challenges, including those in Zachitika North constituency. Minister of Health and Sanitation, Madalitso Waloi, announced this in Parliament, saying the ministry intends to leverage opportunities presented under the new Constituency Development Fund to support the procurement of ambulances for underserved facilities. Waloi was responding to questions from members of Parliament seeking improved healthcare infrastructure in their constituencies, including rural hospitals, ambulances, and X-ray machines for local health centers.
Currently, the ministry has identified the resources. We are in the process of procuring about 7 ambulances that will be distributed to various health facilities. And in terms of upgrading hospitals, the ministry has what we call investment capital investment plan, where we include all the areas that we see fit to upgrade the health centers into rural hospitals. So most of the questions and most of the constituencies that brought about those questions, they are already in the plans, and once resources have been identified, we will be able to upgrade the health centers to rural hospitals. As you are aware, through the state president, Professor Peter Mutharika, he highlighted that we're going to have in the next financial year 5 billion kwacha that will be allocated through the local councils. So what we are saying is we want that money because it will directly be used within our constituencies. So what we are saying is, as that money is being used, we want the councils to consider health sector as one of the sectors that should benefit from the 5 billion allocation that will be there every year. If you can see, most of the requests are to do with ambulances, renovations, procurement of equipment. We know that, and you know, if you look at the amounts, it's something that 5 billion can handle. So we are saying, apart from just looking at the ministry to provide these resources, why can't also this 5 billion be used, part of it, even a greater part of it, be used for procuring and ensuring that health services are of quality and people are accessing them at nearby places.
You're watching MBC News and you are with me, Evelis Chingambe. A reminder of the top stories. Government set to conduct civil service personnel forensic audit exercise scheduled from next week, Tuesday, to February next year. Leader of the House in Parliament assures Malawians of government's commitment to fulfilling its promises. And in sports, Malawi chess youth team will participate in the 2025 Africa Youth Chess Championship, which will kick off tomorrow in Zimbabwe. Welcome back. The Chief Resident Magistrate in Lilongwe has granted bail to former Secretary to the President and Cabinet, Colleen Zamba. Zamba was arrested on Wednesday morning on charges of misuse of public office after she allegedly recruited 300 people in the civil service without following relevant procedures. The state had earlier asked the court to have Zamba held in custody for 14 days awaiting further charges, but Chief Resident Magistrate Austin Banda granted the accused bail, pointing out that the case was a misdemeanor. Zamba has since surrendered title deeds of her house in Area 43 as well as her travel documents as part of the bail conditions. Mangochi Gender Office has described cyberbullying among women, girls and children as detrimental to development at community level. Principal Gender Development Officer for Mangochi District Council, Mariana Kajirawaya, said this at St. Augustine 3 Primary School ground in Mangochi during the launch of this year's 16 Days of Activism against gender-based violence in the district. Owen Mavula reports.
Civil society organizations, community leaders and development partners in Mangochi have joined national calls to end violence against women and girls, particularly in digital space. The stakeholders made the united call to ending violence against women at the launch of 16 Days of Activism against gender-based violence, organized by Mangochi District Council and other partners. During the launch of the campaign, different stakeholders raised concerns over increased cases of cyberbullying targeting women and children, such as body shaming, intimidation and harassment, and called for a more proactive approach in stepping up awareness against the malpractice. Speaking at the launch of the campaign, Principal Gender Development Officer for Mangochi District Council, Mariana Kanjirawaya, observed that cyberbullying can lead to serious emotional distress on victims and consequently affect their productivity in society.
The message which has been given to the community around Mangochi is that the people should stop violating women and girls, because this cyber abuse. People are using their digital assets like phones to abuse each other. So as Mangochi District, we are telling the people to stop this GBV.
In his remarks, Deputy Mayor for Mangochi Town Assembly, Ishmael Nedi, pledged to work with key stakeholders to ensure that women, girls and children are safe in digital spaces. He says we are fully aware that it is our responsibility as leaders to make sure that we are taking a leading role in safeguarding the plight of our women and children. This includes encouraging people to report to authorities whenever they are attacked in digital spaces. We are calling on all stakeholders to be part of this fight. The national launch of the 2025 16 Days of Activism against gender-based violence took place on 25th November at Kwisa Primary School ground in Balaka under the theme Unite to End Digital Gender-Based Violence. Owen Mavula, MBC, Mangochi.
Non-governmental organizations have been urged to remain focused on their core mandates and avoid political partisanship to effectively serve communities. Minister of Gender, Children, Disability and Social Welfare, Mary Navicha, made the call when the NGO Regulatory Authority Ngora hosted a national summit aimed at strengthening leadership, compliance and sustainability within the NGO sector. Emmanuel Chikonso has more.
Addressing over 100 delegates, Minister of Gender, Children, Disability and Social Welfare, Mary Navicha, expressed concern that some NGOs gradually drift away from their registered mandates, a development she says undermines service delivery and confuses the communities they serve.
I gave a warning to NGOs, those that are joining politics, those that are associated themselves with politicians. They should stop. They should concentrate on their work. They should concentrate on their mandate, and they should work within their catchment areas.
Navicha further urged NGOs to support the implementation of the Restructured Community Development Fund CDF, saying the initiative, anchored in the DPP-led government's manifesto, can only yield meaningful results if development partners work professionally and without political bias. The summit, organized by Ngora, focused on strengthening accountability, leadership and alignment of NGOs' activities with national development priorities. Ngora Executive Director Felix Lombe said improved compliance within the sector is already helping Malawi position itself more competitively in the region.
Once we have our local NGOs in the forefront complying with the regulations, then we are assured. Mind you, as the NGO Regulatory Authority, our key interest is to see to it that the work of NGOs is maximizing the public benefits, because we are all working on trust. We are working to ensure that the public is able to get as much benefit as they can from the services that NGOs are offering, but also from the services that even the public sector is offering. So that's something at the moment very encouraging at 62% compliance rate. We will soon be hitting 95. There is no doubt about that.
The two-day summit attracted officials from the Office of the President, the civil society spectrum, and is expected to produce recommendations to guide the sector in 2026 with emphasis on governance, sustainability and community impact. Emmanuel Chikonso, MBC News.
Nzuzu Community Development Training Center has commended central government for funding rehabilitation of community development centers that have been neglected for some time. Speaking to Embassy during a 3-day training aimed at equipping workers with skills to deal with gender-based violence-related issues, Assistant Tutor at Nzuzu Community Development Training Center, Simeon Nyirenda, said government has now allocated funds for the operation of the centers and that renovation at most facilities are already underway.
Thanking government through the wise and dynamic leadership of His Excellency Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika for considering rehabilitating and revamping this community development training center. This community development training center are vital in development of the nation. As mandated, the community development training center are there to build capacity to the ordinary Malawians that can help them to excel in life. So these training centers are critical to national development. We are grateful to government. We have started receiving support through the Ministry of Finance to help us manage these training centers and also offer some tailor-made curriculum. We are happy to say that we have started operating these training centers. Yeah, we have a 3-day training. We have targeted our staff members, including their spouses. Looking at the period we are in the 16 days of activism. So at the training center, we organized and conducted a training in relation to gender-based violence. The aim of the training is to equip participants with knowledge on how best they can prevent and reduce or stop the gender-based violence within their homes.
And in sports, the Malawi National Youth Chess team will participate in the 2025 Africa Youth Chess Championship, which will kick off from tomorrow to the 13th of this month in Harare, Zimbabwe. The team received a 12.4 million kwacha sponsorship from National Bank. The bank's Chief Information Security Officer, Beston Kasologa, made the check presentation to Chess Association of Malawi General Secretary Gift Hoa.
We are supporting the chess because we believe it cultivates strategic thinking and it offers these young minds a way to bring leadership, a special leadership that guides the entire country, because for a country to move we need strategic minds, and us supporting the young children, we believe that such strategies will not only be applied on the board but applied across. Our expectation is that these young minds will bring medals, as I've said, and these medals will be a symbol for Malawi to building strategic powers that will not only be for the chess but for the country, that might boost economy.
We are proud because we are exposing the young ones who did well at the national level. We're exposing them so that they can also be able to showcase their talent at the Africa level and global level. We are also happy because, you know, even the process of grooming these young ones to be where they are has not been done by Chesam alone. We work hand in hand with our own academies. So it means that the fruits are showing from the academies like Dada's Academy, who have groomed some of the young ones that are going there. We are seeing that the fruits are now coming. So we wait for the results of the tournaments. After the 14th, we should be able to see how our kids will perform. And I think that is a better yardstick for us to see the strength of our athletes, and the future is in these young ones.
And that's it from our newsroom this morning. A reminder of the top stories before we leave. Government set to conduct civil service personnel forensic audit exercise scheduled from next week, Tuesday, to February next year. Leader of the House in Parliament assures Malawians of government's commitment to fulfilling its promises. And in sports, Malawi Chess Youth Team will participate in the 2025 Africa Youth Chess Championship, which will kick off tomorrow in Zimbabwe. For more on these and other stories, visit our digital platforms by scanning the QR code at the top right corner of your TV screen. You have been with me, Evelis Chingambe. Thanks for watching and good morning.
Good morning, and it's time for weather forecasts. We are currently expecting partly cloudy conditions to persist over most areas in the north, but we should expect cloudy conditions accompanied by windy conditions as well as isolated thunderstorms and rains to persist over most areas in the south as well as some areas over the central. This is all due to the influence of an unstable air mass which is coming from the Indian Ocean and influencing these activities over us. This is why this morning cloudy conditions accompanied by isolated thunderstorms and rains are persisting over some areas in the south, the central as well as Lakeshore. Temperatures are also still feeling mild this morning over most areas such as Ngabu and Isanje, which are being forecasted at 23 degrees Celsius, 18 over Lilongwe, and similarly over Nzuzu. This afternoon, we should expect cloudy conditions to persist over some areas in the south as well as the central, accompanied by isolated thunderstorms and rains. Temperatures are also expected to remain hot over most areas this afternoon, such as Mangochi and Monkey Bay, which are being forecasted at 31